In this video, I'm gonna take you by the hand and show you step by step on how to make a cheese pide. So let's get started. The first step for this cheese pide is the dough. So the first thing we're gonna need is some strong white flour, which I'm gonna get into this bowl. Then I've got some dry yeast, as well as some sugar and a bit of salt. I'm also going to add about 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. And finally some lukewarm water. So just simply start mixing all of these ingredients together until we get a rough, shaggy ball of dough, at which point we're going to turn this onto our bench and start kneading it until it gets really nice and smooth. I'm just simply mixing the dough into itself. So I'm just going to turn this onto the bench and just knead it by hand for a few minutes. Now if you've got a stand mixer, feel free to use it. So all I'm doing is simply working the dough by mixing into it, working away from me and just sort of pulling it back towards me, and this way I'm just aerating and sort of mixing the dough until we get a really nice smooth ball of dough. So this dough is really smooth now, so what I'm going to do is just portion this into little tight balls of around 120 grams each. So to make the balls, simply fold over from the 4 corners. Now using the sides of your hands, just shape it into a little ball and just simply turn it over and crimp the bottom, just like that. Now we're going to get it onto the tray and just let it rest for about half an hour in room temperature. Now I'm just going to lightly flour So while we're resting the dough, I'm just going to use that time and roast off some vegetables. I've got a few baby leeks here and a bell pepper. I'm going to cut them up, get them onto the tray and get them into the oven. So before I get this into the oven, I'm gonna make a really simple dressing for it, and I have a couple of cloves of garlic which I've minced. I'm just gonna drizzle a bit of olive oil onto there and just season it with a bit of salt. And we just get that onto our vegetables. And I'm just gonna quickly mix this up and make sure the vegetables are all covered with the olive oil and the minced garlic. So now this goes into the oven, which I have preheated at 180 degrees. I'm just gonna stick it in there for about 20 minutes and that's gonna roast off the vegetables. Now let's get on with the rest of the recipe, and we'll be making a really simple cheese sauce for our pide. So for our cheese sauce, I've got some butter here which I'm going to get onto a pan and let it melt down. Now once that butter is melted, you want to add in some plain flour and just give it a whisk. But make sure your pan is on a medium heat to give it enough time for the flour to cook out and to completely get rid of the taste of the flour from the sauce. And next I'm gonna add in some milk to this and gently stir it to ensure there is no lumps of flour left in the sauce and it's all smooth. And next I'm just gonna add in our cheese, and traditionally for pide the cheese that's used is a Turkish cheese called kosher cheese. If you can't source kosher, what you can substitute that with is some pecorino cheese, which is what I've got here. Alternatively, you can use some Parmigiano Reggiano or a similar sort of cheese that's really strong and mature in flavor. So in this bowl I've got a mix of grated pecorino romano and also some grated halloumi cheese. Now I'm just gonna let that cook out on a really gentle heat for the next few minutes. So the vegetables are now ready. I'm just gonna leave that on the side for now, and the cheese sauce is also ready as well, and I'm just gonna transfer that into a bowl and just let it cool down. So now we're on the home stretch and we are finally making that pide, which is the most exciting part of the process as well. So I've got the dough which has been resting on the side for about half an hour. Now lightly dust your work surface with a bit of flour to stop the dough from sticking, and what we're gonna do is just roll this out using a rolling pin. And what we want is to turn this into an oval shape. Now at this point you don't want to stretch it out too thin, otherwise it's gonna start falling apart and you won't be able to handle it. Now we want to get down some of that beautiful cheese sauce that we've prepared. And then we get some of our vegetables in between. And we get some wild oregano onto it as well, and just top it up with some toasted sesame seeds. Now just fold over the sides and bring it back onto itself. And just grab the ends and sort of bring them together and pinch them shut. So what you want to do, just grab both ends and just flick it out like that, just to get some length to it. And at this point you want to really pinch the ends shut, sort of like really pinch them hard, make sure they stick together. Otherwise when we get it into the oven, it's just going to start to sort of come away from each other and open up. Now just pop it onto the peel. And if you haven't got a peel, what you can use is the back of the roasting tray, if you've got one, or anything that really works. So now we want to get this into the oven at full whack for about 6 to 8 minutes, depending on how hot your oven gets. But I've got mine set to 250 degrees, around 6-7 minutes should give it a really nice color and sort of bake this thoroughly and properly. So they have come out now, they smell absolutely incredible. I've got a nice bit of color on the dough and it's just ready to be devoured. But before I do that, I've got some melted butter here, which I like to get on the sides. And I'd like to get some more sesame seeds on these pide. And a little bit more of this dried oregano. It's what's called kekek in Turkish, which is just a wild oregano grown in mountains. And I'd like to get some of this cheese, which is tulum cheese, and this is made from goat's milk. And there we have it. That's the cheese pide, and it's just ready to be devoured, and that's the best bit of this process. It's absolutely beautiful. It's got all the nice textures to it, and that saltiness from the cheese is just really, really nice. Now, that is it for this recipe. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please make sure you give this video a like and just give the channel a sub if you haven't done so already. Please go and give this a try for yourself. Come back and let me know in the comment box below as to what you think, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Until then, look after yourselves, and remember, the secret ingredient is love.